upslope and try to find something
close drawer, get
more
it ready.
readily obtainable.
Okay, great. Thanks, Patty. Thanks to the pilot.
Will do. Yeah, it is sort of just
like
crushing,
right above,
but
you
maybe
might
we
have
can get
a
some.
decent sized piece. Broke up. I think right to the left now. If you can kind of see in that, if you look in the craft, or I'm sorry, the mini Zeus, right above between the, in front of the ledge, there seems to be maybe like a 3-4 inch piece you can grab.
Patty, what about one of these pieces that's just laying up here? Like that. Would that be?
There were a couple of moments, maybe a half an hour ago,
Are hydraulics ramped up, or are they?
Where the ash layers are falling into like a little crevice, and some of the blocks are very orange, but it looks like maybe some of like these plates were this dark color, like it was really fresh, and
cruise.
maybe we see more of those a little bit
Oh, there you
farther
go.
up.
There we go.
Nicely done.
Well, it just broke a couple pieces off,
the BioBox,
so
though, I
hang
think
on, maybe this is going to work.
I don't know if it'll push you off or not.
It's going to be a really delicate chunk.
That's all right. Put it in a nice open spot for you.
That's true.
Ash layer.
Oh, it just broke in half.
It's very fragile.
Wow.
All right. Do you want to go for port side pilot?
Yeah, port side BioBox would be good.
All right. I'm going to start to open. It might push you off, though. We'll see.
Really cool. Thanks, pilot.
Do you want to image it before or just put it away?
We will
Let's just
see
what
if
happens when you open the drawer. If it opens
stays
okay,
in the
then we can
manipulator
image
fingers until we can get the BioBox out.
BioBox lid is closed, unless you put it on
So
the
we
left.
have
I'm sorry. Did we have
six
Port's great.
boxes,
Right.
bins, in which we can put
HD.
samples. So there
So
are
it started to push you right there.
2 boxes,
Tilting up main HD.
one on the starboard side, one on the port side, in which we can put rocks, and they have it's kind of like a crate. So when the sub comes out of the water, they be drained, and then also on each side, on the port side and starboard side, there are what we call BioBoxes. Those BioBoxes each have 2 bins in them. 2 on the port left side, 2 on the starboard or right side, and we like to put the samples in those BioBoxes if we can, even if they're rocks, because they're water will the samples will remain in water, and that way when we bring the sub back up on the deck, we can take them out of the bins really quickly and put them into cold seawater, and then we can take a look at the not only the geology but the biology that might be encrusting on the rocks.
Illuminate the candle, show them sort of centered over both
So this
boxes.
is going into the port inward. Okay, inner. That's okay. Actually, that's the one I have on my log sheet, so good. Great, thank you.
Closing drawer.
Nice, very nice.
So do you see how much that arm is twitching, Sean?
Yeah.
Is that... Oh, I'm starting to drift
Yeah.
now.
I'm going to rotate Mini Zeus over.
Thank you so much.
And there you go. Done rotating. Drawer close. Retracting. Pins.
I just want to quickly mention that for the people who were interested in the rocks from the last dive, the sample that we picked up at
Ramping
the
HP down,
top
saving
of
HPO.
the slope on Ahi Seamount that was sitting in the white mass of incrustation on the seafloor. When we brought it up, it had an extremely strong sulfur smell. So those of you who are speculating that the white material might be related to sulfur emanations, I think you were spot on.
Do you want me to center this?
Yeah, just have it look
Yeah,
down.
and as I recall, it had kind of different colors too. So the part that was kind of in the sediment was kind of a grayish.
Well, I think that was the fresh. That was the fresh rock, and the upper part was brown. As it started to be altered by the fluids, but the bottom part of it has a glassy ground mass.
Nav, I think we're ready for another.
So I think the petrologists are going to be happy.
My camera back.
The rock samples that we pick up go to Oregon State University to be archived and are available for scientists all over the world to request in order to be able to work on.
This might be 180.
Oh, by the way, yesterday we had a bit of a debate about what those white things were on the rock.
Yeah.
Barnacles, limpets, oysters.
Yep.
So, limpets. They were limpets.
Those included limpets. You guys win.
Yeah, and they were quite easy to remove from the rock on which they were attached.
So they've been preserved. And where do they
They've
go,
been
Shirley?
So
Bridge.
they're going. Oh wait, let's look at that whole thorian.
Yep.
Thorian, right?
Yeah.
Down the bottom of the screen.
Got it.
Little orange and
Can I have
yellow.
a second move, please? We'll have a
Thorian?
30 meters.
Geology
bearing
and
180
biology.
and
Something for
speed
everyone.
0.2 knots.
Rolly, go ahead. Zoom it well.
Zoom again.
Let's see, is it
Have a
down?
look at it. It's upper left.
Oh,
The
upper.
head side.
And our scale dots are 10 centimeters
oh,
apart.
I'm
So let's
sorry.
see how big this guy is.
I believe his head is on the
Looks
left.
like he might be
Oh, how pretty.
Rotating.
about 15 centimeters long.
Maybe.
Rotating.
Maybe.
Diva, I don't have my field guide pulled up yet. Any idea what this is?
So neither Diva or I know what this is.
Okay,
When he was about to zoom, we were thinking Stichopus possibly because we could see projections off of it, but that's definitely weird. I've never seen anything like it.
Centered.
So this is an echinoderm, and believe it or not, it's related to sea stars and brittle stars and feather stars.
Asteroid, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a sea cucumber
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just
Cucumber.
just explaining this to the public so that they know that there are lots of different things that occur in that phylum, and believe it or not, this is actually in the same phylum as urchins and sea stars.
Do you guys see the shimmering in the water now? Current is picked up again, and it's really ripping from the right to left.
Yeah.
Okay, going for full specimen. Tilt down.
Slight tilt down.
Hold that.
Chris, can you tell us something about what this
Now let
animal
it
does?
thruster
Something about its
launch, we'll flip it
behavior?
Right over.
What's it eating?
Which end is which? That's what I want to know.
Look at his little feet that just came above center left.
So this holothurian, whatever genus or family it may end up being, we suspect probably the family Dematidae or Synallaxidae because they tend to be the ones with lots of these sort of papillae-like structures coming off of them. But they are deposit feeders, so what that means is they basically just crawl around the seafloor like we see right now, and their mouth is on the underside, and they sort of move along, hoovering off food off the deep seafloor, and then pulling it out when they're ready, pretty much.
And hoovering for the Americans listening means vacuuming up. But Diva, which end was which? I think that the upper left was the mouth and the lower right was the back end. Is that right?
Okay. Lifting up.
Oh, I didn't see Patty, and we've zoomed out now, so I can't actually confirm which end was which.
Patty, that is correct. Upper end was the mouth.
So I have
Thank
you
you.
at about 60 right now.
I'm
so
learning.
You're still
Just for
not in a bad
interest,
spot.
I think as Shirley was noting before, it's an echinoderm, so this is related to the sea stars and the urchins. So the tube feet that you would see on the sea stars are aligned from the mouth end to the back end on a holothurian, and there are 5 rows. They may be hard to see, but the general pattern is 5 rows of those tube feet. Some of them are highly modified, though.
Thank you so much.
Watch lead pilot.
Yeah, go ahead, pilot.
Yeah, in the last 15 minutes, the current has completely switched from coming from the left side of the vehicle to now coming from the right side of the vehicle.
Thanks. So pilot just told us that just in the last few minutes, the current has completely changed. If you remember, it was coming from the left side of the vehicle before, and now it's coming from the right side of the vehicle.
Tidal shift.
All right, pilot, I have you about 80 in my
Perhaps.
camera.
Okay, pushing up the hill.
Yeah, you can see the tethers now, even on the opposite side.
Yeah, for a while there, the tether was nice and slack, and
Yeah.
life was good, and now I'm just being ripped the other way.
Did one zoom in and then lift
And
off
if
and haul
you
backwards.
folks want to take a look at the view from the Sirius, you can see as we approach this gigantic rock
Wow.
on the right-hand side of the screen. It is sitting on top of this bed of ash, and it has made an impression when it fell. We, in Hawaii, we refer to these depressions or underneath big chunks of
you're
rock
about
that
right
fall
underneath
onto
me.
ash like this. We call
See the
them
crack?
bomb
pushing back.
sags.
Yeah.
You can see how this would have been a bomb.
Nev, how
It
much
was
should
a
move
big
You
right
wouldn't want to be
left?
underneath that when it fell.
Almost there.
Yeah,
almost
it's
there.
really embarrassing
copy that.
flying back
Right.
from Hawaii Island if we're on a collecting mission and we've picked up bombs and put them in our luggage. You know, yeah.
Not real bombs.
No, these bombs. What do you mean,
Slide
real
right, can we
bombs?
look
These
down
aren't
at
real
some-
bombs.
And you don't even say something like that
No.
when you go through.
No, you
when
do
you go
not.
through
You say-
TSA.
So they can see it
When they
really
ask
is a
you,
crack.
well,
It's
this
a
is
rock.
heavy.
It's a
You
rock.
got rocks in
Yes,
here?
yes.
You
Say yes. You don't.
Yes, we
you
do.
don't ever use that term.
Well,
There you go.
sometimes you have to educate your grad students not to use the word
Right.
bomb.
Don't say so. All right. Now, what's this fault?
Well,
What
that's
the heck
what
is
it
that
is.
crack?
It's a crack.
That's a crack.
If this were a voluminous
yeah, as you drive
ash
up, you
flow,
see the layers on the left.
they
and
cool
right.
rather slowly,
You wanna do
and
partial
they
zoom as
can
I fly it?
contract as
Sure.
they do, and they
do
may
that.
form cracks on the surface.
Okay, pilots.
I'll tell you,
ship
I am
has
just
stopped. Ship
blown
has stopped.
away
All
by
right,
the
thank you,
number
Nav.
of sponges here. All those white specks, those white dots that you're seeing are sponges. And that kind of pale yellowish one that's in the crack that we just passed over, that's also a sponge. It's just a really sponge-rich area. Lots of stuff in the water
Two
column that
top
these sponges
left of the
are filtering. For those of you who just joined us, we are on the NOAA ship, Okeanos Explorer. This is America's ship for ocean exploration. And we are coming to you live from an area we're calling Supply Reef.
And it's a volcano on the Mariana Island arc,
layers
about
in that
200
cracked
kilometers
brown. Can
west
we
of
zoom
the
on it?
Mariana Trench. But it
yeah.
is
Yeah,
within
Yeah, I'm
the
pretty much
National
still, it's
Mariana
equal.
Trench
I think
National
you can do
Marine
it while
Monument.
flying
That's
on this
correct.
Do you want to take Cam as you float
No,
pilot?
that's all right.
Copy.
The current expedition that we're on is part of a 3-year campaign to address Pacific Monument science, technology, and ocean needs. So it's called Capstone. So sometimes you might hear us say Capstone. And so this expedition, this campaign that we're on, is designed to address the fundamental needs of our resource managers for these monuments so that they can better understand the deepest part of our nation's marine monuments. There are a number of partners involved. Some of them are the NOAA National Marine Fisheries, NOAA Marine National Monuments Program, and NOAA's Deep Sea Coral Research and Technology Program. Now, another important partnership is NOAA's National Center for Environmental Information, NCEI. all of the data that we are collecting on this mission are publicly available within 60 to 90 days after they're collected. So this is really, really fast for data to be made available to the public. Typical timeline on other research expeditions would be 2 to 3 years.
Right. Okay, we have a very different
white
type of ash on the right-hand side of the screen.
So it's darker color, huh?
Yeah, the darker color suggests it may be younger. Do you think, Shirley, that those are sponges?
Yeah, definitely sponges.
Are you sure?
Yep. Well, okay, no, I'm not sure until we get up close, but I'd say probably 90% sure.
Okay.
But we can zoom in and take a look at them. I know that the yellow one that's at about the 4 o'clock position, for sure, that's a sponge.
Absolutely.
Another pack, probably another pacastrelid.
Yeah, they probably.
Okay, I lost track really.
Those white things probably are biologic, but there are
on the upper right-hand corner.
Sometimes very large crystals. No, these look like sponges.
Center.
So the reason, Patty, they're asking that is that one of the objectives of this dive was to see if we could get these fresher rock that's kind of glassy. Yeah, you can see these are those knobby lithistid sponges that are all over the place.
How fast do they grow, Shirley? Because it would help us know, how old these rocks are.
I don't know.
Okay.
Really hard to age these.
Do they get really large?
No. These always this particular genus species usually, if it's what I think it is usually pretty small. By the way, I did contact my colleague, so I'm waiting to hear if she can get on the call.
Okay. Watch lead Nav.
Go ahead.
Nav, can you tell us about how far we've come from our touchdown point, and how far to the next waypoint?
Something red inside this hole on the right-hand side.
Yeah, let's see what that is.
Sort of potential starfish, but it doesn't have.
What leaves you copy?
Partial zoom.
Yeah, we copy.
The holothurian.
Possibly, we've only come about 60 meters from the launch position, and we've got another distance of nearly 200 meters to go to waypoint 2.
Holothurian.
Okay. This one.
Thanks, Nav.
More red.
Pull out.
Thank you, Nav.
Okay. Thanks.
So Nav tells us we have about 200 meters to go to waypoint 2. So we do need to get one underway.
Pilot, did you copy?
Copy what?
Wash leads. They mentioned they wanted to start to make some tracks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, pilot.
So,
all right, then let's.
Pilot, I'm actually going to rotate slightly starboard to keep you in view.
So I should come back to my left?
Nav tells us we have about 200 meters to the next waypoint.
Before we do, we should image the anemone.
Before we do, we should image the anemone. Science, you want to take a look at this anemone? Watchley, do you want to take a look at this anemone?
Yeah, we can just take a quick look at that. Maybe Roland, you can get a snap.
Yep.
Partial roller. Hold that.
Okay, Chris, I think I remember you telling me on leg 1 what this guy was, but I can't remember the name.
No, this is I was about to misspell it in the event log, so I had to pause and look it up. It's Isectinernus, and it's in the family Actinernidae, and it may very well be the species Isectinernus quadrilobatus. And it's very unique in the structure of the tentacles. As you can see, the whole crown of the anemone is very different than most anemones.
Okay, let's go full wide.
Thank you, Chris.
Now, we want to start making tracks, is that right?
Yes.
All right.
So I have you about 45 in my camera.
Oh, okay,
That's
let's
right,
get
pilot. Thank you.
underway then.
Yeah. So nav.
So folks at home, what you're looking at in the geology here is a whole series of layers of ash deposits that have been spewed out from the summit of this volcano and covered the flanks, covered the slopes. I see another pom-pom anemone down there.
Pom-pom. This is ROV nav.
Snap. Pom-pom.
Hello, Rich. Could we have the same again, please? So we'll have a 30 meter move, is a bearing of 180 and a speed of 0.2 knots.
For what?
So it's interesting that a lot of the slabs of the lighter material are resting on the darker, and generally speaking, the darker ash is what a petrologist would call, a person who studies rocks would call fresher or less altered,
I'd say.
Or possibly completely different composition.
Mm-hmm. Okay. One joint. Okay, so range of motion and isolate the joint.
Something very purple left of lasers underneath the ledge.
Zoom partial.
Lots of fish.
Okay. I will get on it, Josh. I'm only here for another 10 minutes, so chances
Bluefish.
are the next pilot. Sure, shall do.
And is that another Aguchi Samia?
I think so.
Over to the left.
Doesn't look like a fish.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I wrote it down.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what that is. Maybe a fish fin?
And we're seeing worm tubes on those rocks.
We are.
Okay, Josh.
We
in
are.
the crevice.
Thanks.
Different types
Bruce,
of...
since you're pondering this, I think we're looking at the tail of Grammatinotus macrophthalmus, or the version of that fish that's over here in the Marianas.
Tail fin of a fish.
Yeah, Chris, I think you're right. That's a good possibility. So there's a little fish that's called grappo, or we call them grannies, which is the short name of the genus name. They're quite colorful. This one species has long filaments on the tail, and they do like to hide in holes.
Hey, really, when you have them,
Grammatinotus macrophthalmus is probably a good name to be using for this, for all that we know without specimens. That was described from, I can't remember, the Ryukyu Islands or the Kyushu-Palau Ridge. When we saw something similar in Hawaii, we thought it was that species, but it turned out to be another one that was described after our sighting in the Hurl submersible. The one in Hawaii is related to Grammatinotus ambiortis.
Yes.
I think maybe these are macrophthalmus, the large-eyed granny.
Tilting up.
And we are looking at a sponge right now, I think.
Up.
Yeah, it is. We've been seeing these have been quite common.
And there's a hermit crab behind it to the right.
Yeah.
Okay, we can pull out.
All these sponges that we're seeing are different species, but all in the same, what we call the same order. So if you think phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, they're all in the same order.
They seem really to love this ashy substrate.
I like deeper water in general.
You like how switch your upper back to port?
Yeah. So when you say the port manip cam,
that's your right. You guys have it backwards.
Okay, so it's the one on the port side that's looking at the starboard manipulator. Okay, so we're going to name it by where its location is on the vehicle. Okay, port manip cam. Yeah, bring that back. Thanks.
Port manip on the
right monitor.
Right monitor.
The Sirius view shows a beautiful image of the remotely operated vehicle. Sirius now is almost directly on top of it, just slightly behind. The tether from the Sirius vehicle is about 30 meters long, attached to the remotely operated vehicle
All right,
Discovery
good copy
2.
And pilot, I have you about 75 on my camera.
All right.
The ship above us has to move along the surface of the ocean, and that drags the Sirius vehicle in the direction we want to go. And then that permits enough slack for the remotely operated vehicle D2 to be able to move around on its 30-meter tether attached to the Sirius vehicle.
Look at that layering and that rock.
The layering is stupendous, and this is all ash layer.
Which is pretty typical.
Very fine volcaniclastic material, broken up volcanic lava.
I wonder if those are barnacles.
Port manip
Right
cam just went out again.
Oh, it did. Copy that. I'll change it back.
Yeah, thanks.
The brown color that we're seeing on the surface of this ash suggests that it's relatively old, has altered a bit. Normally the glass in the ash will alter to a mixture of clays and iron oxides that are given a catch-all name of, excuse me, I'm losing my voice here.
Looks shimmery immediately in
the
front
clays
of
are
us.
generally smectites.
Yeah,
we call this a brownish color Ittingite, but it is really a catch-all term for a mixture of clays and iron oxides and things that form as glass alters.
We're seeing some shimmering in the water immediately. We're about to enter it. See it mostly on the left half of the screen.
On the left half of the screen, our videographer says he's seeing some shimmering in the water, and you can see that at home as some of the white patches kind of blink in and out a little bit. Our depth is 343 meters, and we're about a half a meter off the seafloor.
Can we monitor the temperature on your screen?
Yes, we can.
Pilot, I see a strand of line or something against the rock face left of lasers.
There's a lot of twinkling going on your sponges.
There's some long white things in the background, and it looks like one is almost waving.
We see it about 15 degrees Celsius.
That might be the shimmering, but if we could take a look at those, that would be great at some point, please.
Right now.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing
really
is changes
they look like
in the water
almost,
density due to the currents.
Yep, got it. We're going to talk to the pilot about it.
Gonna look at this.
Watch lead pilot.
Stream, potential coral.
Am I not on?
Potential fishing line.
Potential fishing line.
Let's look at that.
There we go. All right.
Okay.
Let's go.
Looks like we have a piece of fishing line here,
too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That is definitely fishing line.
That is anthropomorphic.
And a squat lobster and some kind of thing with arms sticking out.
Okay, full wide.
So, Eva indicated there's
monofilament is an unusual choice of line for bottom fishing, except for the very end of the line. Typically, they have a different type of fishing line for most of the way up between the reel and the weight itself. In Hawaii, it's called bloodline, but I'm not sure what they're using here at CNMI. But it could be that this line is a piece from even trolling, I guess. Or maybe it's the very end of a bottom fishing gear set.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Patty, take a look at this bollard rock that Rowley cited. Just that round formation.
Interesting that bollard rock, or whatever you want to call it, goes through the layer there into the next layer.
Yeah.
Did you notice that, Patty? The curve of that?
Yep.
So it looks like a tube.
There's an unusual feature in this layer of what we think is ash. And I'm staring at it, and I'm wondering how in the world that formed. So I'm gonna get Mary Jo to tell us all about this. What do you think, my dear?
Really doesn't look like it.
No, like you know, like we saw in the canyons.
You're talking about this sort of cylinder shape in the center of the screen now?
That's right. If this is an ash layer, what do you think this might be?
Pilots, doing a bit more checking. We are actually in good time. If we went directly to the 4 waypoints, if we traverse along, there's still plenty of time to do visuals.
I'm stumped too.
Oh, okay.
Good copy.
Thanks.
You're in good company. That's the amazing thing about doing these dives. You never know what you're going to find.
I know.
Yep. But why?
All right, so there was a request to look at the kind of the wavy things in the background, which I have to admit I don't see.
And light the background to see if you can
It's directly center, upper part of the screen, that white thing.
Okay.
That elongate thing.
Okay. Pilot, this is Washlead, and I wonder if we could head for that white thing in the center. Yeah, looks like you're going for it.
Sure.
Kind of curls up.
Yeah.
To the right-hand side. That does look odd.
Wavy,
I don't know what that is.
wave-shaped.
Rolly wants to take
But as we
partial
approach
zoom
it,
on
you'll
that.
notice that this ash layer is fractured. A series of parallel fractures.
It looks to me like a dead skeleton.
Yeah, dead skeleton of something.
Of a coral.
Oh, probably one of the Aguchi Samia.
I've created a monster.
Yeah, practicing my pronunciation.
All right.
I suspect that's what it is. I don't see anything waving, though, on the surface of the seafloor here. And I also don't see any of that indication of shimmering with the little white specks kind of blinking in and out any longer.
No, I don't either.
Seems to be on the left edge of this rock.
Maybe.
The current.
I wonder if we could take a snap zoom of the urchin if you're heading that direction.
The urchin.
Roger that.
Wait, there's a thingy swimming across.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
I love those little guys.
Was that the eel? I think Diva spotted that. Tara's seen that.
Don't know what that little guy's called.
I don't know if,
Eelfish.
Well, eel.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, I need my little cheat sheet.
Yeah, these eels are very, very difficult. These eels are very difficult to identify swimming past like that. Even the family, this could have been either a snake eel from the family Ophixidae or a conger eel, family Congridae. But without a better look, it's really hard to tell. There's even another possibility, a very poorly known family called the Myrocongridae. But at the moment, I can't say. My guess might be a snake eel in the family Ophixidae. Maybe Chris has another idea.
Thanks, Bruce.
Chris has 0 ideas.
And you know, Bruce, you said yesterday that as soon as you... Go ahead.
I was going to say we need a much better look at certain aspects of the eel to begin to make a guess. But go ahead.
White line, top right of screen.
Okay, we wanted to look at that urchin. Okay. Okay, so we're going to...
Folks on home, looks like we're getting a quick shift of our pilot. And then we'll try to take a look at that urchin.
Sea Star?
Yeah, co-pilot. We'd like to take a zoom on the urchin and a sea star there. Thank you much. Okay, pilot, your first job. Sitting down, you've finally taken a breath. Okay.
Sorry, pilot. Right.
We were interested in looking at a zoom at that
what's on the
sea
docket?
star, and there's an urchin in the field of view as well.
Okay.
Thank you for being so patient.
There he is. Okay. So what direction does it look like the current starting to come from?
Now, I don't see the urchin. Where's the urchin?
So,
it was, I think it was up in the upper left-hand side.
So did you want to take a look at the sea star?
Just also, yes, please.
After we see the sea star?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see the urchin? It's up at the right up at the top of the screen now.
Very top. It's a big one.
Yeah.
This little white sea star.
Okay, go ahead, Roland.
Has 6 legs, at least.
This is about the time that Chris Ma would jump in. He's our echinoderm expert. He's at the Smithsonian. Yeah.
Wow, so a lot of temperature differential
he
today.
Might.
May hear from him.
Hey, Scott, what do you think about this?
Okay.
I'm used to sea stars with pentagonal symmetry, and this looks like hexagonal.
Pentaradial. Pentaradial. Pentaradial.
Right, zoom out.
Yeah, well, pentagonals from mineralogy. You know me.
The screen is a.
And there, you said there was an urchin watch lead?
Yeah, up at the top of this. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, up at the top of the screen.
Top of the screen.
I think it's out of your view right now, but if you just keep moving.
Just coming in.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you see it. Actually, there are a couple of them.
So the critter off to the right top of the screen is also
an urchin.
An urchin?
Yep. Looks like they're the same ones.
Yeah.
Same kind.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
This lower guy, well, I guess this lower guy has longer arms because he's closer.
All right, pilot.
Co-pilot.
Thought there may be a yellow starfish on the near the
there is
skid.
All right, so the currents have been shifting a bit, co-pilot, so we want to keep an eye on the tether.
Copy that. What direction have you been seeing them out of?
I guess it's slack right now, but it's starting to shift to go from port to starboard. So that would be from east to west, right?
Yes. Okay.
All right, go ahead and roll in. So just keep an eye on the tether. It's been changing directions, is what I've been told.
Copy that.
Lots of barnacles.
Well, that is a really interesting urchin with those little white
are they
projections.
Are they barnacles?
They are.
Yeah. They're barnacles on there. Yeah. Sure enough.
Coming up, rolling.
Barnacles on the urchin. Look how cool that is.
And there is a snail shell. Is that a hermit crab or?
I didn't see it over to the left.
It's on the bottom.
All the way to the bottom left.
One of the bottom spines you see right next to the center of the urchin.
Okay. Got a toe down.
See that little coiled, high-spired gastropod shell? I think.
Oh yeah, I see it now.
Thank you. God, I thought I was going
It's
nuts.
camouflage.
No, it really is.
So it looks like the ship is stationary, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It does. Yeah, it
Yes,
does.
pilot, ship is stationary.
So
Thanks,
is that
Jeff.
a gastropod or a?
I think it's a gas. I think it's the actual. Well, I think it's a snail.
foot?
I think so. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Pulling for full specimen.
Okay.
I don't know what that
And it looks like
spiky
your swing
thing
arms
is
are
over
out,
to the
but
left.
Your
but
starboard is a little bit up, so.
maybe.
Yep. We're not terribly steep right now, so.
Copy that.
In general, they wanted us to start making tracks.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Nav will talk to watch lead, and maybe we can.
No, we're all
See a
set.
coral in the rock hard left edge of the screen.
Yeah, watch
Okay,
lead
let's
now.
zoom out. Rolling.
Go ahead, watch lead.
Yeah, could you let us know what the range is to the next waypoint, please?
Yes, we just did a distance check. I don't know if the last nav reported it. We only have to average 0.05 knots for the rest of the day to make it to the last waypoint. So we're doing pretty good that way.
Oh, great.
And ROV target distance is 150 meters.
Okay, that's great. Why don't we make our way towards the next waypoint, please?
Right.
Will do.
Thank you.
So before we get started here, we just had a shift change in the front row. We've got Carl McCletchy, Chief Navigator, sitting on nav right now.
Hello, everyone.
I'm Dan Rogers on pilot, and we've got Andy Lister on co-pilot, and we are all with the Global Foundation for Ocean Exploration.
As is video off.
As is,
Yeah.
Roland has been here for a couple hours with you, and he's doing some great video work over there.
As usual.
Yep.
And off to the right edge of the screen, I saw a stalked something dark.
Okay, so the ship is stationary.
Yeah. Let's.
We need to get moving, right?
The ridge is roughly due south in high pack, but what are we seeing in your sonars?
And your science leads don't change out because
No,
I suppose we could.
Now
I suppose we could if we wanted to, but we're just.
We don't want
But we
to.
don't want to.
I think that's D2. Oh, no,
So
that's not D2.
we're here
So
for
there's
the
a
duration.
larger
So
rock
I'm Shirley
report, huh?
Pomponi. I'm the biology science lead from Harbor Branch Oceanographic
not
Institute,
D2.
Florida Atlantic University, and
so
NOAA
this-
OER's
Wherever I'm looking
Cooperative
now looks pretty
Institute
good.
for Ocean
All right,
Exploration,
you're
Research, and
170.
Technology. That's a
Yeah.
mouthful.
That's
And
And
So we'll do
I
30
am
meters, 170.
Patty
sounds great.
Fryer, and
Yep.
I am a research professor at the University of Hawaii, Hawaii's
Bridge nav.
Institute
All right,
for
so we got a little bit of time
Geophysics and
before
Planetology.
ship starts moving.
and
So,
I
Roland,
am
did you see something you wanted to look at?
from the island of
We have a show
Oahu,
of
the
30
state of Hawaii.
meters.
Anymore. You may have to do
So the way
170
Okeanos
degrees.
Explorer
That's
operates
0.2
is quite
knots.
unique.
Total optical
Our
illusion.
operations are science community driven.
Look like they stalked black.
We conduct them on behalf of the entire science
Yeah,
and
do not
resource
see it
management
anymore.
community, as opposed to the way, I think probably the way we, Patty, you and I have been used to doing expeditions.
current's
Yeah,
pretty
where we
simple right
have
now,
we have a
which is nice.
large scientific community
But Jeff said
on
they've
board
been
the ship.
shifting.
We'll have like 20 scientists.
Right, and the mission
do
is
that
and
here.
it's driven by usually a single PI, principal
right.
investigator, who
Is
has
there
a
any
proposal
direction of
funded.
current?
But through
just
the way we
slightly-
operate
the
through
tether is
telepresence,
right down. I mean,
it,
Yeah.
it really
So-
enables us to reach
so
out to the entire
we need to
scientific
put thought into
community,
which
and
way
for
you would
those of
blow
you
if
at
you lost
home
power
who
or
are
anything.
Not right now.
also
Jeff said it was
are,
coming starboard to port
citizen
earlier, but it's
explorers.
started to stop. And
So we can have a
slightly
lot of
started
scientists,
to shift
dozens of
towards starboard,
scientists
so
engaged in an
Well,
expedition,
keep an eye
more
on
than
it.
we could actually fit on a single
Slack tide
research
was
vessel.
supposed to be
And from all over the
8
world.
a.m.
Exactly,
and
exactly.
noon is
So
actually
right now,
full
looking
ebb,
at our
so
chat room, we have
I
about
guess there's not much tidal current on this little
15
reef.
Yeah.
scientists who are
ADP
actually
showing?
on the chat room,
It's just like
others who are
0.3.
calling
Oh, no, I
in,
mean,
and
yeah.
probably many more who are
Depth
On the bottom? Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't looked at that yet.
in their
guessing
offices
it'll be
at
nothing, but I
exploration
will take a
command
look.
centers around the
saddle
world.
over to the
In their
Which is
homes
the
for those
engineers,
of
see if we
those,
see-
those
There's
people
underwear,
for whom it's like
170.
nighttime and they're
Yeah, people
home.
will be sitting
No, there's
at
a
home with
star
their
for the
computers on
Brittle
their
Star.
laps
Yep.
and watching these dives in their pajamas.
Yeah, that's what I did during the first leg. Okay, there's a brittle
There's
star.
a brittle star moving across the seafloor
Think
right
he'll
on
jump?
sort of
Think so.
center left
Let's,
of your
zoom in.
screen.
think he's going to jump off the cliff.
No, don't
And
do
what
it.
happens, the pilot will position the remotely
Let's kill the
operated
lasers.
vehicles so
Gotcha.
that
Lasers
the large
coming.
high
He's going to jump off the cliff.
No, don't
and
do
what
it.
happens, the pilot will position the remotely
Let's kill the
operated
lasers.
vehicles so
Gotcha.
that
Lasers
the large
coming
high
off.
definition camera that's right in the front of the ROV is pointed at
We have
whatever
all
it is
these
we want to look at,
calculators
and
and
then
no
he'll
knots to meter
ask
per second
the,
conversion.
Well, think
he'll
about
ask
1 knot is 30
our
meters per minute.
videographer to zoom the camera in. And just look how incredibly, wonderfully, delicately this guy can move across
Yes, that is
this
true.
ash layer. We're looking at
Thanks,
volcanic ash on the seafloor right now, and all the holes and the gouges in it occur as portions of it that are not welded together are stripped by currents that move across the seafloor. So there is actually erosion on the seafloor by currents, and occasionally there will be an earthquake nearby that can kind of jiggle things loose. Portions of the substrate can break off and slide down to deeper depths.
They're actually pretty agile.
Very.
Fascinating movement
Yeah.
in this brittle star.
Yep.
You don't think of a brittle star as a front or back, but he is definitely headed in that direction. Okay,
So
video's
folks on
good.
shore,
Okay.
our scientists who are in
Zoom
the
out.
chat room, can any of you tell us what brittle stars are looking for when they're
Alright.
foraging over the seafloor? What do they eat?
Interesting geology here. I haven't seen this.
Does that silence answer your question?
Fish up there,
That is,
rolling.
There
that
is a
fish.
challenge to answer my
We
question.
have not imaged him today.
Okay.
We saw one earlier, but did not image.
Boy, I don't know. I have no clue. And there's not very many of us who know very much about brittle stars, I'm afraid.
We have a fish. Okay,
Let's do a snap zoom.
I'm sure somebody out there knows.
Looks like the guy we've been imaging.
Great
the past
thing
few
about
days.
this real high definition video is
somebody. Shirley, some osteroids deposit feeders, just like the holothuria we saw earlier, and some are also scavengers as well as predators. This one we can't say for sure, as I don't think anybody was able to ID it past family. But they have basically a range of feeding types, just like any other main family group, I guess.
Thank you, Diva. So what's the fish, Bruce?
Got a scorpion fish, right?
Yeah.
Does look like a
hold
scorpion
this a little bit
fish.
longer to try to get the description with the imagery.
Yes, this is a scorpion fish. They've been fairly common. On last dive, we saw a lot of them. Expect to see more on this dive. They're called scorpion fish because they have venomous spines on the fin along the back.
5 meters left.
Move that fin up, you can see
I'll push out ahead here in a second. It's pretty flat, so.
They're in the same family as the lionfish that have been talked about on the east coast of the United States as an introduced species. Those also have the venomous spines. They're
Roland's just trying to give me a challenge right now.
The stonefish of the tropical Pacific and Indian Ocean. They're highly venomous, the most venomous fish in the world. Those are deadly. Most of these scorpion fish aren't deadly, but they can give a nasty sting. Like
according to the ADCP, there's about 0.2 knots of current from
Australia.
the north to
colorful
west.
names for a lot of things.
Should be about 0.2 knots from behind is what the ADCP says.
When they reach into their catch.
Lurching on
they're
the
very
left,
difficult to identify the genus
quickly
species.
imaged it, but not well. You could see the far side looking into its throat.
Head and a series or tentacle-like things above the eyes, but that didn't look like a large-headed scorpion fish. So we usually can't identify them to species.
Well, thank you so much, Bruce.
And we'll probably see more of
Yeah,
these.
we're zooming in on another anemone. This is
go ahead and zoom in.
Second or third one?
In the top right.
We have a fish in the top right.
Top center now, if we're to pan.
I do not see it.
Tilting.
I do not see it. Is it a large fish?
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, so top left.
Oh, I see. Yeah, here we go.
So it looks quite thin.
Oh, it looks kind of like a Moorish idol type fish. But I'm sure Bruce will.
You don't want to make
Bruce will know.
Sure don't.
Yeah.
Let's zoom partial.
Yeah, we've seen that anemone before, but let's take a look at this fish.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, Tar.
This is a boarfish in the genus Antigonia. It's another type of fish.
The average
that's very
train here
common.
rises 10 over 30.
Deep body, small mouth.
That's pretty mild.
These are a little bit, you might say, more primitive.
Soon it will be 10 over 70.
In a group that branched off earlier in fish evolution than a lot of the coral reef fishes. What they call zeoform fishes or dories. It's thought, there's not much known about the biology, but it's thought that these may actually feed on corals, pick away at things with those small mouths that they have. There are several species. I'm not good at identifying them. Chris is a little bit better than I am. They're rather difficult to identify. Again, it's one of the more common types of fish to see.
It's pretty mild right now. I think it'd be a good opportunity.
Meters or so. Quite colorful with the red bars on the body and the silvery body color, the silvery white body color. A nice-looking fish.
They're quite beautiful. Thank you so much, Bruce. It looked like he was maybe trying to pick off some things on the surface of the ash layer. You see the beautiful layering in the ash that we're traversing right now. When these volcanoes erupt, they can spew out large volumes of ash at a given time, but they also can pulse and have individual spurts of smaller volumes of ash that create individual layers as this material then falls through the water column and settles on the seafloor. If there's enough of a volume, the particles of ash can actually still be warm when they settle down, and they can essentially melt into one another and create kind of a hard substrate, but it still preserves visible layering in outcrops like the one we're looking at now.
It's really nice. Beautiful.
something hanging underneath the yellow.
That yellow thing.
These layers are quite parallel to one another, almost layer cake-like. But if a really violent eruption of ash takes place, and even underwater sometimes large volumes of ash can be shot out of the vent of a volcano, when that happens, what you might see in the layers is sort of a wavy bed form between each of the layers, almost as if you're looking at a series of sand dunes that have layers that are cut off from one another, creating what is called angular bedding.
Also need to look at
and
those
we
white
can
things.
see an
Oh, is that Stolonifera? Wait, is that?
Samii. I'm sure that's an Aguchi Samii up there on the top of that ledge.
And are these the stoloniferous
corals? The little white
barnacles,
branching?
Yeah.
And okay, and on the right, I think I'm right about the coral.
You are.
Finally learned to name that guy.
Patty, this is Mike Garcia.
Mike Garcia.
I want to keep it
Good
up.
morning. How are you doing?
Would it be possible to scrape the outcrop? It's got a veneer of grunge on it, and it might be possible to see the bedding you're talking about if you could remove that outermost layer of slime or sludge. Is it possible they could scrape that outcrop with a manipulator?
I sure understand what you're saying, Mike. We saw some beautiful outcrops earlier that showed the layering without the veneer on it, but the ROV is quite precious, and the manipulator arm isn't generally used to do that. It's not quite strong enough to be able to use as a tool of the sort that we're used to using in submersibles, but I sure understand where you're going with that.
Watch these. What are these white filaments with the bulbs?
They sort of look like urchins, but they look like they're tagged.
No, it's a stoloniferous coral. So let's see. Scott, can you tell us something about these? Actually, I don't see Scott on the commo.
Okay,
yeah, he might. He
may be. Yeah, I don't see him anymore.
Is that full?
Chris, you want to give us a little explanation about these stoloniferous corals that we just imaged?
Hey guys, Chris just stepped out of the room, but as soon as he's back, I'll remind him.
Okay, thanks. We collected some of these the other day. Actually, we collected a rock on which there were 2 or 3 different species of these stoloniferous corals, and I actually thought that I'd be able to separate them from the rock, but they are so thin, really, like a millimeter. And
Shirley tried
oh
with
my gosh,
scalpel,
I tried.
But it basically just kind of mushed up.
Well, we got some material for genetic analyses, and then Asako told me the next day that what they do is they just keep them on the rock.
I'm going to come up and push over.
Just good advice. Looks like, I don't know if that's a siphonophore or a salp that's floating by. I thought I saw something gelatinous. Okay.
So I didn't quite catch that, Nav. Are we
that's okay.
kind of in a rush? Do we want to keep moving? Or? Okay. Okay. This is just somewhat interesting, so I'll just follow along.
Okay, on the left side of the screen, we're seeing the darker gray ash.
Do you want to turn your heading a bit?
And it looks like it has been deposited primarily in the low points, where we might expect to see new material sort of slides down available chutes, particularly because the currents in this area are
we'll
very
just do the
strong.
180. So if you want to bring your heading around, Andy, to 180, we'll do
So mostly what we're seeing is the white, tiny blebs on the surface of the ash are very small sponges, right, Shirley?
Yes. Yes, they are.
Co-pilot's on top of it.
So you can see these bits of that, those slabs are now broken off.
Oh, yeah. The slabs of the brown stuff are going to be breaking
Let's go bring the lower
surface.
swing arms in. Just all the way stowed, and then we'll keep the uppers out since it's not too tall.
There's that white coming on that boulder on the left.
Mary Jo, you want to give us your thoughts about what you think with regard to the relative ages of this outcropping that we're looking at right now?
Fish or something in that. There's a couple little fish at the bottom.
Have we imaged some of those earlier?
Oh, did we?
Sure, I can do that.
Snap zoom.
And but if we look at the contact between the black ash and the sand bed, it sort of looks as though the black ash in this depression is blanketed over, but we're not seeing the base of the sand bed.
Little shell there too.
So I
see shell.
Right in the middle.
guess this means it's a black ash. Maybe sometime afterward, although it's a little bit of a mystery why you don't see black ash dispersed everywhere on top of the tan bed.
Like a neon tetra eye.
Maybe this tan, maybe some parts of this tan bed have slumped downhill. Missing from the view a second ago, we were more zoomed out, and you see the tan bed makes a sort of horseshoe screen around this depression that we're in now.
Hold there.
Maybe some part of the tan bed is missing. I'll have to get a look when we zoom back out and put our horseshoe down here.
Okay, thanks.
These layers are really cool.
Does anybody know what that gastropod is?
Okay, I'll come over.
Partial.
Okay. Yeah, let's come out. Okay. Yeah, just we'll keep an eye on the uppers. It's not too tall here, but...
Bruce commented that the, I think that was that bluefish looked like it was probably a small Grammy. Gruppo or Grammy.
Yeah, these can be kind of confusing. When they're large, the species have distinctive tail shapes and color patterns. It seems that when they're small, they look like the one that we just saw with more rounded tails or oblong tails. And there's not enough known about their life history to really tell, but they may be like some of the shallow water basslets that have sort of different colors and tail shapes for the juvenile stages and adult stages, and there may even be differences between the males and females of the same species. That hasn't been worked out yet. Looks like we've got some more of those here. Zooming in on them would be great.
Okay. Watch lead pilot.
So here.
Go ahead, pilot.
Yeah, we'd like some closer images of the fish, if you can zoom in on those as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Mary Jo, go ahead.
I think she's responding.
Okay, here I think that we see that sort of black ash deposit on these kind of shelves of the layers of this tan ash. And so I think it's a pretty good sign that
not sure which one they were at.
In the floor of this depression is younger.
We were imaging
it's younger than both tan.
These look like little cave dwellings.
They do, indeed.
Cliff dwellings. Yeah, I think they wanted to look at the smaller ones. I think they were like bluish.
Oh, those ones. Yeah, the ones we saw earlier.
Yeah, the ones that are darting around really quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't they look like cliff dwellings?
They sure do.
And they're things that are dwelling.
Okay.
Ash is kind of interesting stuff. It's soft enough for people to dig out. there's
you want to snap zoom?
In southern China, in fact,
can you keep an eye on the upper
people have built homes into the cliffs of not volcanic ash, but glacial